Bags down, spikes on. Welcome to the track. Hi, my name is Colin Weitzman. I'm going to be your host of this episode of Track World News presented by Track Barn. And today we are joined by a very special guest coming out of Waco, Texas, repping Baylor, Olympian, world champion in 2019, and world record holder as well in the mixed 4x4 relay in 2019. Will London. Will, thank you for joining us. Really appreciate it.
I appreciate you for having me.
No problem. No problem. So first, want to get started. I guess let's start with your name. You're the third. So there's a long line of Will Londons coming along. Everyone's probably wondering, is there going to be, if you have a son, will it be Will London the fourth, or are you cutting it? Would you be cutting it there?
Nah, I feel like I gotta keep it going. I don't want to be the person that stop it. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like if I did have a son later down the line, then yeah, I would keep it going most definitely.
There you go. All right. So we're not ending the long lines. That sounds good. Sounds good. And so before we get into much of your on the track stuff, I'm sure a lot of people are interested in. I want to get to learn a little bit about you off the track. So I know something that you're big into. You're really interested in fishing and hunting as well. If you were to put together your dream group of, let's say, some track and field athletes of, hey, we're all going to go fishing together, who would be that dream group for you all, and where would you want to go to?
Of course, the first person definitely gonna have to be Brazier, Donovan Brazier, because he goes fishing a lot. Uh, I know that's the only person I know that really goes. Oh, my homie Brandon Carnes. Brandon Carnes. We was when he was training at Baylor with me under Coach Ford, under Mike Ford. He would go fishing. So me, Brazier, and Brandon. I feel like that's a pretty nice, you know what I'm saying, trio right there. I don't really know too many other people that fish in the track world, but if they do, you know, let me know. Let's go fishing sometime. I feel like if I did go, I like bank fishing, so I like just fishing off the bank. So pretty much I'll fish anywhere, but I feel like, you know, just to stay in Texas and fish, honestly.
What's the biggest fish, or maybe most interesting story you have of any of your fishing times fishing?
I got the most embarrassing one. Okay. So I was fishing. I was fishing one time, and like it was this one spot that I wanted to fish exclusively, like at that exact part of the pond. And it was like a lot of fish right there. I was seeing people catching them, but I just couldn't throw my line in that exact spot. So the only way to get to it was like you had to climb on a tree. Like it was hanging over the water. So I'm standing, but the grass was wet, like before you walked onto the tree. So I'm walking on the tree and I'm like fishing right there. I'm getting bites, it's almost there. Like as soon as I feel a fish, I fall in the water. So I fall in the water, man. It was embarrassing.
Oh
But
man.
but it was like 100 degrees outside. So, you know, just to fall in the water, it gave me a little cool off. So it wasn't too bad.
Yeah, it worked out. It worked out at the end of the
It
day.
worked out perfectly.
Were there other people around, or were you all
Yeah,
right?
it was people there, but I didn't care. Like I just got out the water and kept fishing.
Like, dang, I could see the moment right before. It's like, man, I got a bite right now, and I'm going
Yeah,
in.
exactly. So I was just making sure my phones didn't, you know, didn't fall, like go in the water and I couldn't find them, but everything worked out, so I was good.
There you go. Well, good thing it all worked out for you. I mean, obviously you get some free time being an athlete. You're probably a lot of time traveling and all of that. What are some things that you like to do in between track meets or in between practice to pass the time?
I mean, now since I'm like, I guess like beforehand, I was just trying to like just stay off my feet and just chill, watch TV, YouTube, not nothing major, just like the normal, you know what I'm saying, 21 to 25 per year old person would do. But like, I feel like now since I've gotten older and more like become a student of the sport, like I like to do a lot more rehab than I used to do. Like, you know, like just try to focus on keeping my body in task and, you know, anytime I can do stretches, foam rolls, just anything rehab, things that I could do just to like, you know what I'm saying, get that extra edge. But like, I try not to overdo it because I don't want to be like a track head, you know, the people who just 24/7, like that's all they care about. But other than that, if I'm not doing that, then it's probably just taking a nap. Probably.
That's not bad. That's not bad. Yeah, I was when I was in high school and college, didn't care too much about the recovery. You don't notice how much you need recovery until you start getting older. It's like, oh man, I used to just be able to run, wall out of bed, do some 400s. Now it's, I'm feeling it a little bit. So
That's exactly how it's been going.
yeah. So glad to see you're picking that up a little earlier in your career before it gets to be a problem, in the late 20s.
That's why I'm starting now.
Awesome, awesome. And so another thing, there's a big rivalry we got in high school or with just athletics, Texas, Florida, California. Like those are kind of the three big states that all say they have the best track athletes, best football athletes, best everything. Obviously, you're born and raised in Texas, Waco, went to Baylor. So I feel you're the best person to ask, why is Texas the best place for athletics over California, Florida, and all that?
Well, I think honestly, what for me, like I noticed, like for me, starting to travel more and starting to see the difference between like the schools in Texas, California, and like Florida, is I feel like just the schools in Texas are like the when it comes to athletics, they I think they fund a little bit more money into it. Like when you see like stadiums that's high school Texas stadiums are huge. Like I don't know if you've seen like school like Allen where
Oh
I
yeah.
was hearing it in their stadium. It's huge. Like every high school in Texas pretty much has a like indoor football facility. Like I know this one school in Waco. It's called Midway High School. They have it like a full 100 yard turf football field and like a squat rack with like I think it's like 50 to 80 squat racks. I think so it's like, like I feel like just those type of things where you can like, if you go to Florida or Cali, well, not really much so in Cali, but in Florida, if they got rainy days, the hurricane situation, like they can't really train nowhere else. Like in Texas, it can be 20 degrees and we got a full indoor we can train at. So I feel like that just takes it over the loop, and I feel like just in general, our athletes are just better. So that's just me. Like this argument's been going on for so long, you know, I don't even know why everybody tries to argue Bracy, Trayvon, anybody else. They know Texas. Shout out to Fred Curley. Texas boys. We doing our thing.
Yeah, I've been hearing that since the dawn of time. It's always, especially the Florida and Texas guys. So we got to eventually see a 4x4 or a 4x1 between Texas and
And
Florida.
we've actually been saying that for a long time. Like we even put together all time 4x4. When we put together, I think that me and Trayvon, we had put together like an all-time 4x1, all-time 4x4. I think they won the 4x1, but we won the 4x4. So
We got it. We got to see it. That would definitely be exciting.
Sure.
And so then want to flash back to where things got started for you. What got you interested in track and field and how you started your running career there?
Yeah, for sure. Like I pretty much started track, I think at 4, but it wasn't like just to like try to be the greatest track. Like I played all sports. Like I played t-ball, I played basketball, I played football. So I just did track because it was another like city league track team that was in Waco. I tried it. I was small. I was fast, but it wasn't nothing like, oh, he's gonna be this type of guy. Like, it was just like another sport I played. I just ran track because my friends ran it, my cousins. We all just used to race all the time. And they just noticed I was faster than everybody else. So I mean, that's just how I got started. And then I think I only ran like the 100 and 200, 4x1, but I didn't actually run the 400 until like I was 9, and it was actually accidental. Like I didn't run it purposely. Like my cousin, he ran the 400, and like we used to talk trash to each other. And I think his dad told my dad like, "Oh, Will can't beat my air fryer's done." So he was just like, "Will can't beat Micaiah in the 400." So we was like, one day he was like, okay, like we just left it alone. Then when it got to the day of the race, he was just like, "You can't beat me." I said, "Oh, all right, let's race." And we raced, and I beat him. And then they was like, "Oh, you actually kind of good at it," So it just took off from there. So it wasn't really nothing that was just like, "Oh, he's gonna be this amazing track runner." It was just all fun and games, just being competitive as kids.
Yeah, I feel like that's how it starts for most people. Like, I didn't even really know about track and field until, you kind of find it by accident sometimes of,
Yeah,
how you fall into it. Now, I saw a previous interview that you had done. You mentioned that after your very first ever practice, you did what happened after your very first ever practice, if you remember?
Oh, I didn't like it. Yeah, I hated it. Like I just didn't want to run. Like cause I was young. I was like 4, and like all the other kids I had to run against was like 6 and 7, and it was just like I just didn't want to run with them. I didn't want to be there. It was hot. Like it was like 105 degrees. Texas gets crazy during the summer, so I just didn't want to be there. I didn't care about it, and I was just like, boom, bump that. I don't want to do it. I just like basketball and football. That's pretty much all I like. But I think everything happened for a reason. They kept me in it, and here I am now.
Was there a line of track and field? Like, was running kind of in the family, or did it just sort of happen with you?
Both of my parents, they played, sports as when they was growing up and stuff like that. And they said my mom was pretty good at track. She did hurdles in high school, but I think she had ended up having like a really bad knee injury playing volleyball, so she wasn't able to really play sports and stuff anymore. But other than that, I don't think it was just anything that was just like stand outish with the family when it comes to sports.
There you go. There you go. And one thing that was cool, seems very, very inspiring for you at a young age. Like you kind of saw this you predicted the future almost. Saw where you actually wrote a note in 5th grade about your goals of. I mean, you reached it. Could you share us that what that was and what it's like now?
I mean, honestly, because like where we trained at for like my summer for my city league summer track team was the old Baylor track. So when we would go there and practice, Coach Hart would be training like Sonya, Jeremy, Darren Williamson. So it was like at a young age, like age 5, 6, going up. I was growing up seeing like the people who we grow up to have seen win gold medals at the Olympics and stuff like that. Like you don't ever get a chance just to be like 6, 7, keep as you're getting older watching Jeremy Warner, Darian Williamson, and Sonya Richards train. So I think that's where I got it from. Where like just watching them every year, and like everybody always think kids don't pick up things, but like I used to pick up certain things that they used to do, and watching them train and stuff like that. And I really didn't know it until I got older and I watched them, when I was at Baylor. You know what I'm saying? So I like think it was like I was in the 5th grade and I wrote on there that I wanted to like win a gold medal or like become like a professional in any sport like that. But I for some reason I had specifically like singled out track, and just everything just kind of took off, I guess you can say. I mean, it did now, but like I still look back and I still don't understand. Like, dang, like I really chose track over the other sports that I used to love to do.
How does it feel like knowing, oh yeah, I'm making my 5th grade self happy. Like I accomplished what I said I wanted to do. That's got to be a pretty cool feeling.
I mean, honestly, I didn't remember until like I went back and like my dad pulled out the little book and I seen it. So it was just like, whoa, like I really said this and it's really happening. But as you get older, you have new goals, new dreams, new aspirations. So it's like I kind of was like, okay, got that check. Let's get to the next one. But like I also had to kind of like refrain from like ignoring it. It's like you don't see a lot of situations where people put a goal out that they had when they was like 5, 6, or 5th grade, and it actually happened. And then are able to go back and see what they wrote. So it was kind of like a cool feeling to go back and see like, dang, I really made it happen.
Yeah. And you mentioned that, track and field wasn't your only sport at the time. And, you had other sports you're interested in. Like for you, when did you realize that you had a special talent in track and, this might be able to take me to, high school, college, or even after that?
Yeah. I think thing about me is my mom. She said she's seen it when I was like in the fifth grade in middle school. But of course, parents kind of see things a little different than you when you're that age. And then my dad, he said he seen it probably like my freshman year, like going into my freshman year of high school. But I didn't really start taking it serious and understanding like my true talent until probably like my sophomore summer going into my junior year in high school. That's when I really kind of started understanding like, oh wow, like I'm really good. Like I can really do something with this. And then like at that time, that's I think like 2013, 2014. That was at that time where like if you wanted to play football and basketball, that was before speed was a thing. It was always about height and size. Before like now you see college recruits and like NFL teams kind of recruit for speed. But back then when we grew up, it was about size and height. So like it wasn't a thing for a guy my size to really get recruited in any other sport. So it kind of worked out for me. Track and field, you can be 6'3", you can be 5'2". If you're fast, you're fast. So it kind of just worked itself out.
Do you ever look back or see? Because I know obviously we saw Devin Allen, he's going to the Eagles. Do you ever think like, man, I wonder what it could have been if I did try out football a little bit more?
I mean, for me, I think I stopped playing football after my freshman year. Then I just kind of solely focused on basketball. So me was for basketball.
Mhm.
So I mean, sometimes like I used to think like, ah man, what if I did play basketball? But I was like, nah, like it just, you kind of just understand like everything that happened for a reason. So it was just
Mhm.
like, and then I had a couple of issues that happened with the coach in basketball season that kind of like went into the track season that it just wasn't working out. So I had the choice, and my choice was track. So that's what I went.
There you go. And then you're able to rep your hometown with going out to Baylor U. Was that like always the number one? Like you wanted to stay close to home, or was that kind of a last minute thing there?
Nah, for me, like I really wanted to go to TCU because Charles Silman, who used to run at TCU, he was from Waco. So for me, I really wanted to go there because it was like I grew up kind of following his steps a little bit because he ran on the same summer track team and he was like super super fast. So like I used to watch him like all the time, and then we ended up going to the he went to Waco High as well, my high school, and he was like years in front of me. So I kind of watched him growing up, and when he went from Waco High, he went to TCU. So it was like, dang, I want to go to TCU too. So for me, it was wanting to go to TCU, which is kind of crazy because TCU and Baylor like rival schools.
Mhm.
So like I never wanted to go to. I honestly didn't never want to go to Baylor, but as I was getting recruited, they was the only school that gave me a full scholarship, and like it just came down to it where it was like I toured the facilities, and then I was just like, I run the 400, and I feel like there's no better school to go to run the 400 than Baylor.
Yeah, you guys definitely have had some really great runners coming through Baylor. I mean, currently on the circuit, you have in the pole vault, Casey Lightfoot and Trayvon Bromell, obviously as well. And there's still a whole bunch of other athletes currently at Baylor that are doing some big things. Looking back at the decision, are you like how do you see it now? Like, okay, I've chose Baylor. I chose Baylor. How do you think that it worked out for you?
Everything worked out great. I feel like the only thing that I didn't accomplish for myself was to win a national championship. But like, it was crazy because I made 2017 World Team and I made the team in 2019, but I didn't win a national championship. It's kind of backwards. You see the people
Yeah.
who won the national championship make the team. So it was just like when I look down the line and I see like the Baylor greats, like they all won national championships. So sometimes I look like, and that's the only thing that I was not able to do was win a national championship. But like, you know, everything happened for a reason, and it's just like I'm still glad to be able to be named in that category with the guys that came before me.
Yeah. I'm sure a lot of those people that won national championships wish they could say they had a world record as well. So I'm sure it all works out.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
and so how's it like 2017? Yeah, you're making your first team still in college. Like, could take us through that 2017 season of, your things started to really click for you, it seemed like.
I mean, for me, it was like so going into to the trials that year was just like, man, it was hard because I came off a terrible national, off of what I did at national. So it was just like, I finished last. I was not wanting to go, and it was just like I was kind of mentally drained from going. Like I just, for some reason, I just couldn't get into tune to want to run. And it was just like I was going into it like, man, I don't even know where I'm going. I feel like I'm not going to make the team, and I also didn't understand how like the whole selection process and how everything goes. So as I go up there, first round, run good, make it to the next. Like I wasn't really too much thrilled about it because I feel like if you were going to be an elite runner, like running the first round should be the least of your worries. That's just me. So we get to the semi, and I knew it was going to be a little different. Like they take the top four. So coach was just like, just coming forth, just finishing the top four, and just let it all out in the final. Run a good race, boom, and I get the last spot. Like I come in fourth. Like it just happened at a lean too. It wasn't like I came in fourth where I was behind. Like I got leaned out
Mm-hmm.
and got the fourth spot and made it to the final and get stuck on lane one. So it was like, man, like this is it. Me and coach talking, and like he usually gives me like this, just try to talk to me about the race strategy, all of this. He basically told me, he was like, look, they take six for the relay. You make the relay, you're going. So he was like, I think it was 9 people. He was like, hey, just edge out 3 people. So I was like, okay, cool. So get to the race, running. I'm in complete last coming off on the back stretch. I'm talking about it was terrible. Like it was bad. I could tell I was, and I don't think if you don't run track or you don't run the 400, it is super hard to get in tune with the race when you already see yourself in the back. When you see yourself in the back already, you already know it's going to be a bad last 200. Like, there's nothing you can feel like you can do to possibly bring yourselves out of that deep hole. So I don't know how I pulled it off. I picked off one person coming on the straightaway. I said, okay, need one more. Got somebody else. Okay, got one more. Boom, I got another person. But like I just felt like I could keep running. So I just kept going, just kept pumping, and I just crossed the line. And I knew I at least came in fifth. I was like, okay. Then I started seeing them put like the names, seeing Fred, then I seen Gil, then boom, it was me. I was like, oh snap! Like I was like, nah, I didn't make the team. I really like made the team. I was like, ah man, I had a PR. So it was like I went from running 45:02 to running 44:47, like in a matter of race. And it was just like, it was just one of those things where it just like I didn't even go into it like thinking. It was just like, just let's see what happens. Let's just go out and just do what I got to do and put it off.
Yeah, it seems like sometimes that can be the best ways to
Yeah.
go through race because you're running loose, like you got nothing to
Yeah.
lose. You're
I
in
have.
lane one.
It's crazy that you say that because me and Cherry talk about that all the time because Cherry was in the race and he told me that his coach told him he was like, make sure you watch out for the one that has nothing to lose. Like, and it just so happened I was the one who had nothing to lose. It was like, okay, cool.
There you go. See, that's all it takes when you're playing with house money. It's like, hey, I'm in lane one.
Yeah,
I ain't supposed to. I ain't supposed to be.
it happens.
Exactly. And then flash forward to then 2019. You're able to you make the team as well. Going to Doha. What was it like being a part of those gold medal teams? Over there in 2019.
It was fun. Like honestly, like I think that was probably like my favorite team to make, and besides London, I had fun in London. But I think Doha, I got a little older and I kind of understand how the process went. So it was like I went into it a little bit more mature, had a little bit more fun. Because I went in 17 a little bit more stiff because I was the young guy on the team. So I feel like I had something to prove, like to try to get on the relay and to try to prove myself that I can run with these guys. So at 19, I already kind of had proved myself. So it was like, okay, now it's just go down here and take care of business. If I get a shot to run, then I know what to do. And I just kind of went out there, had fun, came out of there with 2 gold medals and a world record. So I can't complain.
What was it like when you heard like, oh yeah, you saw the world record coming through, there with the mixed relay? Could you kind of say what that moment was like?
Honestly, we knew we was gonna break it because the team that ran the first round for USA, they broke it. So we was like, okay, we're gonna break it too. Like it wasn't even one of those things. Me and Cherry was roommates in Doha, so we was just chilling in the room. We was like, oh yeah, we're gonna break that. We went to sleep a little early, you know, had a good breakfast the next morning, and we just like, oh yeah, we're gonna get it. But we wanted to make sure like we not only broke it, but we wanted to like make it a record where nobody could possibly like break in the list. They had like a solid team. Like you had me handing at first leg handing off to Allison Felix, Allison handing off to Courtney Okolo, and Okolo handed off to Cherry. Like that's a solid team. I don't know if anybody think that is not, but it's gonna be hard to break it. I don't think people understand.
Was that because I'm remembering the video? Was that the video of Cherry running down that?
Yeah, yeah, from Poland. Yeah, that was that video. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, you guys have a couple viral moments in history too. Because I remember seeing that. I'm like, oh yeah, that. Okay, I couldn't remember which one that was. All right, there makes sense. There you go. Uh, awesome. And then so now you're over here. You've already made what, two teams already. You're preparing for the Olympics. It gets pushed back 2021. Take us through what the Olympics was like for you.
I mean, that was a pretty tough situation because I didn't really do as well as I wanted to, but I still made the team at trials. So I was kind of going, and they was like, kind of told me before, it was like, look, this is the rules or whatever. And they kind of set it down. It was like, look, the only way you can possibly run is if someone was to catch COVID because, it was still a COVID situation. So it was like, I was like, oh, okay. It was kind of a tough situation, but I understood how the game goes. And it was just like, I just got to take this to the chin. So it was hard being there. Like I enjoyed the experience, but it's hard. It was hard to go when I knew I could give a great. I had an opportunity to run great. Like I was ready to run really fast, and I was like in great shape, ready to run. I was still training, so it was like, I'm ready to run if they needed me. But of course, how it goes. Like I just couldn't run. So it was like it was a hard pill to swallow to be in those stands. Like just going to watch the relays, going to watch the 400, and it was just like because of one bad race, I missed out on the opportunity to run. But after that, came back from Tokyo, ran two races overseas, won both of those, won a Diamond League. So it was like every opportunity I took after that was just trying to make the best of it.
There you go. I was going to say, how do you feel that moment is, preparing you for this year coming up? We have another World Championships here in the United States. How do you feel knowing like, man, I know how it felt back in 2021. I don't want that to happen again. Let's make sure, we're putting the best position possible, come the trials, come USA's this year.
Well, now it's just like more so like not looking at the races before USA's as like a USA race, not looking at it as like a title or championship race. Like these races that I'm running now, I'm trying to understand my race pattern, my rhythm, like going into it, wanting to run great, but also trying to be consistent. Like you can win. I've seen people. I've won races and I ran a bad race. Like I've won races and not executed my race plan. But I don't. But I know if I was to run that type of race against elite caliber, top five, top 10 runners, I won't win. So now it's about executing my races right, trying to be consistent, and trying to understand my rhythm and my pattern. So when I do get to USA's, I'm ready.
Yeah, you'll make sure that you're, firing on all cylinders. So everything is going to be, you're ready to drop another personal best, just like you did last time trial.
Yeah,
So
it'll count. That's my thing. Like last year was one of those where I was just trying to run fast at any track meet I was going, getting a chance to run it. But this year it's about running fast when it counts. That's all that matters.
exactly. You want to make sure it's you're showing up big and when the lights are the brightest. And so how is that changing your training? Like are trainings different, or is just the meets that you're going to, or the timing? Like how are you kind of strategizing this year maybe differently from last season?
Yeah, well, last year I was still training with Coach Hart. with Coach Clyde Hart. So he retired. So I had to, move to a training group. So now I'm with Coach Johnson, Coach Boogie Johnson. It's a great training group. It's real competitive every day. We train really hard. And it's like one of those things where it's like my first opener was trash. It was poop. Like it wasn't even a race where I could go back and be like, okay, I could have fixed this. It was just one of those races where I just didn't trust myself, and and I just kind of like just went completely blank when it was time to run my pattern, and I kind of reverted back to my old ways of just trying to run because I'm running against fast people. But after talking to coach and things like that, I just got to trust myself. And this year, I feel like this year's training, I'm more mentally in tune with what's going on in training instead of just doing the workouts because that's what coach gave me. Like I'm trying to input my race plan inside the workout, working on my form on different things, working on form, eating 10 times better, getting more sleep, doing more recovery. So it's about just trying to do all the little things that can take me from here to
There you go. Yeah, get into the next level of next level of PRs and next level consistency as well. And so, well, before we finished out here, so a lot of our listeners are in that high school age where they're starting to get ready for college, and I'm sure many people have dreams of going to college. Many probably have dreams of the Olympics, just like you do. What would be some advice you'd give to high schoolers that are starting to develop as they're going on a journey that they hope to might be similar to yours?
for me, I think I should tell them to do what they love to do. If even if it's like not track, just do what you love to do. Because at the end of the day, this is the opportunity that you got to live with. That's what I think I should tell them because like I've I've coached kids during the summer, and I have a lot of kids that I coach that necessarily don't want to do what they do. Like their parents are pushing them to do something that they don't want to do. And one thing that I can say growing up was my parents never had me do anything that they wanted them to do. Like if they didn't, they asked me every year before the track season, basketball season, football, is this what I want to do? If not, they wasn't going to force me to do it. So I feel like as a kid, just try to have fun, find yourself and just do what you love to do. Because at the end of the day, I'm doing what I love to do. Track is what I love to do. So me waking up every morning and going to practice and dying in practice, it's not hurting me as much mentally because this is what I chose to do. This is what I love to do. So I think that's what I tell.
Exactly. Find your passion and then follow that. You get one life. Don't waste it on doing something you're not enjoying. Just hopefully it's track and field though. Fingers
Hey,
crossed.
not track ain't for everybody because it's
Yeah.
hard. I ain't gonna lie, but hey, if it's anything, even if it's not sports,
Yeah.
just follow what you love to do and stick with it.
Especially that 400. That 400 is hard. I still don't know how y'all do it, man.
If I'm telling them to do anything, do high jump.
Yeah.
Let's run.
Yeah. Try to find an event in the beginning that has not as much run. You're definitely going to be loving yourself by the end of your career. But Will, thank you so much for joining us today. Really appreciate you coming on and sharing your story and journey with a lot of our fans here. Where could people go if they wanted to learn more about yourself and follow you a little bit more here?
And just got Twitter. At Twitter, I'm at Will underscore WL3. The Will is 1L. Then if you're on Instagram, I'm pretty sure that's where you'll see this interview at. I'm gonna get posted at Will London 3. So it's WILLONDON 3. So you can find me on those. Hit me a DM. Anything. If it's you got any pointers or anything you want to ask me, I try to get back to you as quick as I can. Because sometimes the request box is crazy on Instagram or Twitter, but just hit me up. And, I'll answer a question if I got the answer to it.
Perfect. There we go. Will, thank you so much for joining us. And thank you to everyone for listening. This has been another episode of Track World News. If you want more content, go and follow us over on Instagram at Track World News. We post almost daily over there. News, highlights, clips, things like that. That's going to do it for us. Have a good one. Peace.